What advice do you have for the current students who aspire to be an engineer and students who are studying to be an engineer?
Well, my advice would be to get plenty of broad experience early in your careers, and I'm going to just talk about what I mean by broad, because we've spoken about interdisciplinary engineering and the T-shaped engineer a bit, and I think that's part of this. That's very important, and the ability to work in multidisciplinary teams early in your careers and get used to this model that, you know, on any particular project you'll be bringing your own knowledge set, but the other thing you'll need to bring is the awareness of what other things need to come into that project and how to mobilize and work in multidisciplinary teams. So I think that's very important, and so having a lot of different experiences early in your careers, I think, is going to be much more important for your generation than it was for my generation when we joined engineering, where, you know, engineering was a much more siloed sort of occupation. So I think, of course, do well in your studies and get a good degree is absolutely critical, but then move on and look for a variety of, as wide a possible variety of experience, not just in engineering. You know, to do things where you can truly see how engineering impacts on the political world, how markets work, how regulatory institutions work. You know, to have that breadth that not only is a multidisciplinary approach to engineering, but to understand how engineering fits into our world, because that's terribly important in all of the areas we talked about earlier. You know, the internet, the ubiquity of data, the ability to utilize data, telecoms, energy, AI, robotics, we talked about, you know, they're all going to be heavily influenced by, you know, what politicians think and what regulatory and market structures are put around these developments. So I would say to young engineers, read widely, read good newspapers, understand what's going on in the world, understand how politics and the economy come together with engineering, and you know, be patient in your early careers to make sure that you gain enough breadth of experience. There's always a great temptation to want to climb up the rungs as quickly as you can, you know, but maybe be patient about, you know, stepping across rungs, because once you've climbed a fair bit up the ladder, it's really tough to step across. So it's really important to get broad experience. And institutions like the IET, I'm obviously going to want to talk about the IET at this point. You know, the IET is a fabulous institution for young engineers to come into for all of the reasons I've just talked about.
Yeah.
It's a very broad institution. It looks across multiple sectors. There are a plethora of different ways to get involved through local communities and sectors and work with people in your own geography, your own home discipline, but more generally. And of course, we're adding to that the ability to work in increasingly flexible affiliations that people can create with social media and you know, using the internet. So I think to engage strongly with your professional institution, particularly, you know, with the strength of the IET, gives a great opportunity for learning all of those skills I've talked about.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for this time and for this interview.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure. And
Good.
Thank you very much.
Good. I'm now going to ask you all the same questions. You can tell me the answers.